You want me to like introduce you or
Yeah. Hey, how's it going?
hello? So I have Camille here. She is one of my friends for a long time. I've known her for what did we decide, like 26, 27 years, something like that.
Whenever you were at college and made friends with my
Yeah,
sister, and then you became like,
1999.
yeah, you were the whole family's friend.
Oh,
We all love Eric.
yes, yes. So Camille is here. She is she's my mentor and business partner in this adventure that I'm on. And I've invited her to do a live with me, and I'm going to ask her some questions and just kind of get her story and her take on what's going on and the adventure she's on as well. So, if you'd like to introduce yourself, Camille, that would be fantastic.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So my name is Camille, as Eric said, and I live in Idaho, where Eric grew up, actually in the same county that you grew up, which is kind of cool. I know
Right.
that I make you homesick often with my scenic
It's a
photography.
good homesick.
Yeah. Anyway, it's such a great place. But yes, I grew up in Idaho and I've been out of state a couple of times to live. So we did Nevada, we did Montana, but just kind of always came back home. So, yeah, we have horses, so we connect there as well.
Yeah.
I've just always been a stay-at-home mom. I took a job a few years ago while my kids were kind of getting into school and stuff, but quickly learned that with our lifestyle and horses and property and all that we have to take care of, I needed to be home. So I'm back here and needed the extra income. So I found
Yeah.
this and it has filled that gap that we needed to fill.
That was my first question. What had you looking for more? What was it that brought you in? And I know you and we've been in some different companies before. Have tried a lot of ways to make ends meet in low ticket sale and whatnot. So
Yeah.
what was it? What had you looking for more?
So, like I said, I've been a stay-at-home mom. That's always been really important to us that I would be home raising the kids, and my husband's always worked really hard. And in this economy, no matter how hard you work, it just doesn't seem to be enough. There's always something that comes up that eats up that money you thought was going to be extra, or just whatever. And the kids grow up, and then you find out how expensive kids are, things like that. So. So, like you said, I've tried other low ticket things before over the years. And, sitting here, I can't regret any of those because I have gained so much education, so
Right.
many lifelong friends, and honestly, amazing products that have blessed my life.
Yeah.
But they just never paid any more than like barely enough to cover the product
Right.
sometimes. So I
If we were
was,
lucky.
yes, if we're lucky. So I was looking for something, although tentatively, because I was tired, you kind of go through all of these things and then you start to feel like, well, maybe I'm just not good at this and maybe I'm just always going to fail at these things. And so when I saw my friend posting about making $20,000 a month, that blew my mind. I mean, honestly, I was like, that's money I've never even tried to grasp making, especially from home online,
Yeah.
and filling in the cracks of my day with it. Like, I just couldn't really fathom it, but I was in a place where I needed it bad enough to ask. And I'm also the kind of person who, like, I trust my ability to make a good decision. So I wasn't afraid to ask because I knew I can turn it down if I don't like it.
Of course.
So I
Yeah.
reached out and asked, and my mind was blown, honestly, by this blueprint. And I lost sleep for several nights thinking about it.
Yeah.
So, does that
Yeah.
answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Just going back onto, you say stay at home mom, that we know that's a full time. I'm a single dad right now and I only have my kiddos part time, but I know how hard that is. And
Yeah.
you don't get paid for it
Right?
if you
Yeah.
don't. And it's hard to help make ends meet with if we don't have income coming in, and you see a lot of these couples with, both people working and they're still not making it.
Hmm.
It's this rat race that we're conditioned to think is the only thing that there is, and it just
Hmm.
doesn't make it. But
Right.
yeah, I agree. That's how I found it too. I just like you, I saw you posting things and I was like, what is this? We're so used to low ticket sales and getting $100 here, maybe there. And
Mhm.
when I started seeing some of your checks, I'm like, wait, what is this? This is not what we have been doing before. This is
Yep.
something different. So, when did you decide enough was enough? What was that pivotal moment that pushed you to, I know you were looking for something more, but what grabbed you?
So, what was kind of pushing us towards looking for something? And honestly, when I say looking for something, I was actually considering getting a job in town again.
Yeah.
Now, where I live, town is town is like
Not very close.
an hour away to like a decent city,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So, anyway, so I was like, okay, I could drive an hour to get there, put in my 8 or 9 hours, and drive back. So I'm gonna eat up a lot of my check in gas,
Yep.
and what am I gonna do with my 8-year-old who still needs a
Yeah.
mama? I mean, my
Yep.
older kids, they're pretty independent, but he needs me. And it
Yeah. Childcare.
just
You
wasn't
can, no one
feasible.
can afford it. Yeah.
Yeah, it just wasn't feasible. And our expenses were slowly getting higher every month,
Yeah.
while Paul's income was not following suit. So we got into a position where we were using credit cards to buy groceries and gas. Now, we have been anti-credit card our whole marriage. We've been very disciplined and frugal, sacrificing things so that we wouldn't get into debt. But here we were just, kind of necessary expenses. And that credit card interest was eating at us. Like to be paying that much per month in interest was like, this is ridiculous. So that's why we were really like open to finding a solution.
Right. Great. Yeah. I totally understand. With COVID and everything, I had to start tapping into some credit cards too after layoffs. And I'm like, I mean, how else do I do it?
Yeah.
But yeah,
And isn't
thank you
it
for that.
interesting, just like going back, I've thought this often, if it was 50 years ago, we would have been eating out of our food storage, we would have been
Yep.
going hungry or like reaching out to our church for help. Like it's actually really cool that we live in a time where you can buffer your reality because of
Yeah.
the credit card system. Now, we don't want to abuse that system, but I will
Right.
always be grateful that we didn't go hungry.
For
And
leveraging. Yeah.
yeah. So we just
Absolutely.
we just got to get out of that interest and go from there. So,
Right. Now, I wanted to ask you a question about, because social media I feel like consumes a lot of our time,
mhm,
and a lot of it is looked at in a negative way.
mhm.
What can you tell us? Because I try not to, I find myself just wasting so much time on social media, but after finding this, my whole thought of social media has completely changed. What can you tell us about your experience
Yep,
with this with
I'm
social media?
completely with you. So I spent a lot of years feeling guilty about social
Yeah,
media because honestly, it became a numbing tool.
yeah,
And I wouldn't even have to think. And all of a sudden I'm there and I'm like, how did I get here?
right,
I didn't want to do this. I would switch my apps around so that the muscle memory wouldn't grab that app before, without me thinking about it. And
right,
I considered it an addiction and it wasn't something that I felt good about. And
right,
it really was, it was a place where I compared myself to others. And I think we can all relate to that, where
yeah,
we are comparing our worst to everybody else's best.
right,
And it's just downright depressing. So when I saw my friend posting and I realized, okay, her business is using social media, I honestly was like, I don't know if I can do that. Like bad taste in my mouth about social media, and it's a little bit cringe. I honestly said those words. But then as she starts talking about 20 to 50,000 a month, I remember saying to Paul, I was like, I'll post for 20,000 a month. Like, okay.
absolutely,
So what's
absolutely,
what's shifted for me is that social media has become a tool that pays me.
yeah, yep,
And so when I'm on there for a purpose and a
right,
reason, and I'm not
not to just numb,
contributing, right? And I'm not contributing to the negative part of social media. I'm
right,
using it to spread light into the
sure,
world. And so it's completely shifted to where it's not an addiction anymore. Now it is a tool that's paying me.
Yeah.
So it's really powerful and it's free.
That is probably one of my favorite parts about it, because I looked into a lot of online, AI things and all these things, and you had to, get a search engine or have a website and spend so much money just to get your business off the ground, you
Hmm.
know? And this is so much different
Yeah.
and makes complete sense in my opinion.
Yeah. It does. It makes sense and money.
Right, exactly. And that's the wonderful thing about it too is I've found that, like you said, instead of it being a numbing tool for us, or not tool, a numbing coping
Hmm.
mechanism, or to disappear, or
Hmm.
just not feel, just
Right.
mindlessly scroll, it's turned into this, I'm looking for more positive things. I'm filtering more. I'm not wasting the time. I'm actually, there's a purpose behind jumping
Hmm.
on social media, which I find has really made it a more of an uplifting thing than
Hmm.
just a numbing
Yeah.
robot thing to do.
Yeah, and I never knew, like I didn't understand you could train your algorithms. So
Yeah.
for me, I've always been someone who's really keyed into to current events and
Mhm.
what's going on around the world and politics, and that's something that I'm just really drawn to, like, oh,
Right.
what horrible thing is going on right now? We got to let people know, and we got to like shout it out to the world that you're being deceived, you're being
Yeah.
whatever. And so I was seeing a lot of that in my feed, and it would get me fired up, and I felt like I need to let people know. Well, it's interesting because now I realize that didn't serve me, and I'm
Yeah.
not in a position to make a change in that way. I'm really not. None of us are going to
Right.
change the corruption
No.
in the government. What we can do is change our own life and those within our circle of influence. So I stopped liking those. I stopped clicking on them. And like you said, I'm seeking out positivity. I'm seeking out
Yeah.
empowerment. And my algorithm has completely shifted to where I don't see anything anymore. And if I do, I just X out of it. And
Right.
it's just so empowering to know you can do that.
Right. And kind of just going along with that too, I remember months ago, and I've followed you and Paul for quite a while on Facebook, and
Hmm.
I like watching because you post pictures of home, and I get that homesick, I love seeing the Tetons, that's what I
Hmm.
grew up seeing. You see exactly what I grew up seeing, which
Yeah.
it just touches and hits home to me. But I noticed there was a change. Like I noticed a complete change of I saw the horses, I saw the family, and the jobs that you guys were doing, and my little brother worked where your husband worked,
Yeah.
and all that, and your story just evolved, and all of a sudden there was this change and shift that
Mhm.
I noticed. It was so visual to me, and I remember seeing that, and then you started posting about the positivity, the abundance,
Mhm.
instead of scarcity, um, just that transition. I watched that whole transition just happen, and it was unfolding. I'm like, what is this? This is an amazing journey that she's on. I need to know what she's doing,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was a cool feeling to I lived it through you. I was vicariously living like your experience. I'm just like, okay, what is this? What has she found?
Yeah.
So, and it's funny because we never know who's watching,
Hmm.
our feeds or our stories or our posts. But
Hmm.
what would you tell somebody who's been watching on the sidelines,
Hmm.
and there's skepticism, there's doubt,
Hmm.
there's people that say, oh, this is too good to be true,
Yeah.
oh, this is one of those things,
Hmm.
she'll we'll watch her like take a dive, but
Right.
you have not. Yeah, I mean, you just keep climbing, and it's been
Yeah.
such a phenomenal experience to watch and be a part of. What would you tell people who are wondering?
Yeah, so first of all, I would validate your feelings because you have those feelings for a reason.
Right.
You've likely been burned before. You've likely watched your friends and family like pour their whole souls into something and lose, and you might even be sitting there being in a position where you've never gotten into that, and you're really glad you haven't. And so you're
Yeah.
maybe have this sense of like, oh, I'm glad I never fell for anything like that. Like your feelings are valid. So, I think it's good to be skeptical about things. You don't want to just jump into something willy-nilly. But I also would say, are you making a decision with all the information?
Yeah.
And is it dangerous to ask questions? It is not. I
Yeah.
understand you're afraid of getting pulled into some high pressure sales meeting, right? I mean, we've all had the invitations to go on a trip and all you have to do is sit in a meeting. Well, everybody
Right.
comes out buying a timeshare because you
Right.
can't say no. That is not what this is. All that we are doing is we're inviting you to come see if this is a fit for you. And honestly, if you're a fit for us, because we're exclusive in one way, and that is that we want the highest vibe people. If you don't feel like you're high vibe right now, but you want to be, we will teach you how to be. Like we're
Oh, yeah.
not, it's the people we don't want are the people who are chronically negative and rude. We want nice people here. So when you reach out and book a call with me, and Eric will be there if possible. If it's while he's off work, we're just gonna I'm gonna answer your questions. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Um, so it's really not a scary thing. And then ask yourself, do I trust myself to make my own decision? Or am I afraid that I'm gonna fall for it? You kind of need to have a little bit of faith in yourself to know
Right.
what's good for you and right for you and what's not. So I guess that's what I would answer on that
Yeah.
one.
No, completely agree. Now, I want to kind of, you mentioned a call, and through our posts and whatnot, we invite people to book a call with us.
Mhm.
That can be scary to some people.
Mhm.
Book a call. That means I'm committing to something. That
Mhm.
call is a commitment. How would you reassure somebody who's, they're like, oh, I'm not sure if I want to make a call. What would you tell them?
Well, you're between you and what you want might be this little 30 to 60-minute conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you owe it to yourself to take that time for yourself. Um, and the call is going to look a lot like this. We're face to face on a Zoom and we're having a conversation.
Right.
So, you know, people have their agency, and if they simply are going to allow their fear or their hesitation to stop from reaching out, that's their right to do that.
Right. Right.
So, but we're here we just want to answer your questions. And sometimes I
Yeah.
tell people it's driving you crazy, right? You're wondering what it is. Just book the call so that you can put it to rest and not think about
Right.
it anymore if it's
Right.
not for you.
Exactly. No,
Mhm.
I completely agree. When you and I were talking, I wasn't afraid. It was the thing I loved about our call is it was just like this.
Mhm.
It felt like two old friends that got back together, and chatted and had
Mhm.
a great conversation.
Yeah.
And, it just made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was
Um,
fun. I think you were probably one of my first calls I took by myself,
oh
honestly.
yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So, which is crazy because you think that you're going to go through this training to learn how to be a closer, like you're going to be like, and we call it closers training,
Yeah.
but it's not in the traditional sense of closing. It's
Right.
literally like asking questions. And I know the material so well that I've never been nervous on a call. Like it's just answering questions. I'm not like sitting here trying to get a sale.
Right. Right. And that's the wonderful thing I think about this is it's all about, it has to feel right.
Mhm.
The blueprint makes sense. I've been in sales, gosh, my since out of college, or even before college. I mean, I sold solar, and yeah,
Mhm.
sitting there and trying to close somebody on a product that, you're like, well, I think this will be good for you, but
Mhm.
it's yeah, it's totally different. It feels different, and
Mhm.
and I think an important thing too we have to realize, and I want people to understand is it has to feel right, and nothing about this felt wrong to me.
Mhm.
That was the my favorite part about all of this is I never felt like I was doing something that wasn't meant to happen.
Hmm. And I
And I think,
love like going back and remembering how you came in. I could tell when you started to feel brave enough to let it be known that you were watching me.
yeah.
So you would start to like a post here and there, and I'm like, oh, there's Eric. That's nice. And then, like, out of the blue, it was the best. You send me a message and you're like, okay, I'm ready. Because here you are, you're over there having this internal struggle.
Right.
And honestly, us over here, we have no idea.
No,
We're
no
just
clue.
doing our merry little thing over here, and we don't know you're interested until you reach out to us. But you
Right.
had already gone through this process behind the scenes, and you're like, okay, I'm ready. And I'm like,
Yeah.
sweet, let's get you on a call.
Yep,
Good.
that is how it was. And it was very organic. And I think that was
Mhm.
probably one of my favorite parts about it. I felt no pressure. You know,
Right.
I didn't, I just, it felt, I was attracted to or magnetically pulled to what you were doing and what you were experiencing. And then you would start posting about checks, and I'm like, what is this? This is great. This is great. If this is real, I want to do this.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
yeah, I mean, none of there's no one out there that doesn't want more money,
Right.
especially in this economy. I just
Hmm.
read the list of more layoffs, you
Right. There's a
know
lot. Yeah.
where your husband used to work, where
Hmm.
my little brother works, furloughs. It's
Yeah.
like,
That's scary.
it's very scary. I
Mhm.
mean, right now the times are so uncertain, and
Yeah.
this is a great way to keep plugging along. I'm not even plugging, to jump ahead.
To thrive. And that's another thing, there may be people watching you that are like, I'm fine. We're doing fine. And I'm so
Yeah,
grateful when people are doing fine. But how many times do you hear of a family that's doing fine and then an accident happens and all of a
right.
sudden your sole provider is injured and can't
Yeah,
provide? And I mean, life happens. So when there is access to something like this that you can set up and it becomes residual and something you can pass on, no matter what life throws at you. We actually have someone on the team who shared a story of their enroller that they came on with, and she sadly passed away from cancer, but she knew that she wanted to set her family up before she left.
yeah,
So she did this.
yeah.
And her family to this day is still receiving money from what she started. And I think how
That's
beautiful
amazing.
is that? It's just incredible.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, going back to sole provider getting hurt. I mean, I've done backbreaking work my entire life, and I am not getting any younger, and my body is not getting any younger. I try to stay as healthy as possible, but
Mhm.
it's a time clock. We
Mhm.
are all on that time clock, and I probably didn't take care of my body like I should have when I was younger, and I'm starting to feel the aches and pains. Not a ton, but
Yeah.
I work for a farm store right now part time, and hurt my back loading hay or stacking hay. And I thought, in the back of my mind, I thought, oh, if I got really hurt, because I do all the deliveries, I do all the, the big lifting in the company right now,
Hmm.
and I don't know who else would do it. And if something happened to me, I thought, man, I have something to back me up now.
Hmm. Yeah,
I
you
don't
do.
have to worry if I do get hurt. I've got something else,
Hmm.
and that was a really reassuring feeling, knowing that I wasn't solely dependent on my body,
Yep.
and if something did happen, I've
Right.
got something going for me,
Well,
which
we
was a
we live in
really
a time where we have access to a different form. It used to
right.
be time for money
Yeah,
and now it's like we can use our minds and we can use technology and we really need to key into that. So
yeah,
anyway.
great. And I wanted to ask a question because you jump into this business. Well, you jump in thinking, oh, it's going to be this, and then I guess I didn't realize how much mindset work and personal growth I was going to have. And
Right.
that really shocked me, because I was like, oh, I think I'm a pretty positive person,
Hmm.
but then you start doing the trainings and then you start doing the mind work and you're like, holy cow, I had a lot that I
Yeah.
didn't realize I needed to work on.
Oh yeah.
And it just exposes you, personally and
Mhm.
internally. And you're like, what? I didn't realize that
Right.
I had all this stuff blocking me.
Hmm.
What can you tell people about your experience of the trainings that our business provides?
Yeah. So, honestly, that was one of the things that my friend, when I reached out to her, she's like, "Well, book a call," and then I'd be like, "Yeah, but what is it?" And she's like, "Well, just book a call." And but one thing she would tell me is she's like, "You will not believe the training here. It is phenomenal." And I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I've had good training before." And so what I discovered was because I have been in self-help, self-development, mindset growth for
Yeah.
years and years. And I found myself feeling frustrated because it's like I believe these principles, I believe these concepts, but my outside world is not reflecting what I'm trying to create here.
Right.
And so I found myself frustrated, but still trying to do it. But when you connect those principles with a vehicle that actually pays, man, then you start to see, okay, it all starts to come together. And
Yeah.
you start thinking differently. For example, you're over there talking about, well, I'm not getting any younger. And I'm like, I am. I'm getting healthier. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm just getting healthier and stronger every day. Like I literally shift things in my brain now that are normal
Yeah.
things to say, and I'm like, actually, I don't subscribe to that anymore. And
That's awesome.
you shift. It's really empowering in every
Yeah.
aspect of life.
That's great. I like that. I love that. Yeah. We don't have to accept the norm,
Nope, we don't.
what everybody says. So
Hmm.
that's awesome. I love that. I'm gonna steal that.
Yeah, go for it.
um, let's see. Where this is I like this one. How can you describe the change from feeling scarcity and being in survival mode compared to what you feel
Oh my gosh.
now?
Our whole life up until 6 months ago was scarcity.
Yeah.
And that's not a good place to be. It affects your
It's a scary
relationships.
place to
This
be.
fly wants to be part of our call. It affects your relationships. It affects, honestly, your health, um, your sleep. It's a horrible feeling. And I was kind of brought up, not just because of circumstance, not because of teachings, but because of circumstance. It was
Yeah.
like, you will run out. So save, hold on to it, clench those fists, don't let it go because
Yeah.
you might need it someday. And to this state of mind where I'm at now and where I'm like, um, okay, so I'll just give you a small example. I got teenage drivers. So fender
Yeah.
benders are gonna happen, things like that. And
Insurance is outrageous.
insurance is crazy. Well, we've had a few little mishaps in the last couple of
Mhm.
months, and my response to those have been so peaceful.
Wow.
Before it would be like, oh my gosh, like I thought I had $200 here, but now it's going to this. And,
Yep.
and you would just like have these like, like so frustrated and just these frustrated feelings. And now it's just like, so thankful that they didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
And, and it's just money, it's just things, and
Right.
more is coming. So it's okay. And so it just really teaches you to respond to things more peacefully. And honestly, it just makes you feel better because stress and anxiety and fear and frustration and
Yeah.
all those things, they are not fun emotions and they do not
Yeah.
serve you.
Not at
So
all.
it's a good
They
change.
they ruin us.
Hmm.
I've seen stress take lives.
Oh
Quite
yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting too when when I asked you that, you took a deep breath too. I feel like that's what this does.
Yeah.
It helps us breathe, it helps us process
Hmm.
and
Yeah. It's those
realize that
memories. It's those
everything's going to be
memories that it was
okay.
like, I remember
Yep.
what that felt like.
It is. It physically, you feel that anxious
Hmm.
tightening. And then we remember, hey, everything's
It's
going to work
okay.
out.
Yep.
Everything's going to be okay. We've
Yep.
got this.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's always okay. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a beautiful change. And really,
Yeah.
it ekes into every aspect of your life too.
Right.
So, you know, like I said, it works on relationships when you're feeling those awful feelings of scarcity and fear
Yeah.
and just, without going into too much detail, this business has saved our marriage. And
Awesome.
we didn't have problems because of a lack of affection or love or anything like that. But when you have so much fear and lack and everything just keeps hitting you and you don't know what you're going to do, it creates a wedge
Yeah.
and you start to grow apart and you start to resent and all of these things and it's painful.
Yeah.
I mean it's painful because you marry that person for a reason
Right.
and to think of like we're going to lose this marriage because of money or the lack
Yeah.
of it, you know? So having that abundance come into our life and that mindset of everything's going to be okay has changed. It's brought us
Yeah.
back to being together and it's such a blessing. I mean, I will
Yeah.
forever be grateful for this decision I made.
Good. Good. And you don't have to sell your horses.
Right. Yeah, we were looking at that too.
I know.
Although I
I know.
still need to because I'm
I
tired.
have been in those situations where I have
Yeah.
had to sell horses,
Yeah.
and
And it's
you work
sad.
so hard to build that herd up, and so
Mhm.
much time, effort, and yeah,
Right.
yeah, building that life that you want, and
Hmm.
not quite getting there, but now having the tools and the vehicle to take you even further than you ever imagined.
Yep.
So,
Exactly.
all right. Anything? Okay, here's. I don't know how much time you have.
Well, I've got to go pretty soon. So,
Okay, one more question.
okay.
Knowing now, what would you tell your younger self 5 to 10 years ago?
5 to 10 years ago. Oh, that's a really good question. I guess I would just tell her, hang in there. Like that
Yeah,
it's coming. Like it's gonna be okay. And I would have started to practice these principles earlier so
right,
that I could have peace earlier in my life. Because honestly, these principles aren't just for this business.
right.
If I had learned these principles and applied them the way I'm learning them now, 5 years ago, I don't know what it is, but something would have come into my life because I would have called it in
Yeah,
and I wouldn't have been resisting it with my fear. So, yeah, I guess that's what I would say.
I love that. I love that. I wouldn't have been resisting it with my
Hmm.
fear. I love that. That's
Yeah.
that is fear makes us resist.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm writing that one down.
And it blinds us to opportunities right in front of us as
It really
well.
does. It
Mm.
really does.
And that's
Yeah,
what's happening to a lot of our followers. They're still blinded by fear. And
yeah,
it's like, you know what? It's step into the dark, one step into the dark to see if this could be the light. That's all
yeah.
it takes. And if
Right.
it's not for you, keep seeking. There's something
Yeah,
out there that fits.
right. Awesome. Camille, thank you so much for
You're
your time.
welcome.
It's
So
been
great
great.
chatting
I
with you.
hope we had some listeners today. That would be amazing. So if anyone was listening and you're just curious, reach out to us
Yep.
and check it out. It may be the answer that you're looking for. It will be the answer you're looking for.
But you still have a choice.
Absolutely. No one's forcing anyone to do anything, but
Right.
trust your gut.
Yep.
That's what I did. I trusted my gut and my heart, and it just
So
it just
glad you
felt like
did.
it was meant to be.
I've watched your growth too, and that's probably my favorite part is
Thank
watching
you.
people grow. It's amazing.
Appreciate it.
So,
All
all
right.
right.
Well, thank you so much. Have
Welcome. We'll
a
talk to you.
great rest of your day.
Thanks,
Stay
you too.
warm.
Oh, yeah, we're trying.
We're 89 down here.
Oh, you
I'm
poor
so
thing.
ready for cold. This is
All
when I
right, we'll
crave
see
Idaho.
you.
Take care.